One likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And you may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head.
And welcome everybody to Meta for 2019. We have the best when it comes to High School League of Legends. We cannot be more excited to get into this. Of course, the first round we do have is the Victorian Open bracket. But before we start going through the two teams you do see on your screen, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ewan Iatos Reed, and joining me for the very first game of Meta is, of course, Adam Toasted Brew. My friend, how excited are you for Meta to getting kicked off?
I am so hype. 8 action-packed weeks are ahead of us, where we see state versus state go head-to-head for some crazy action-packed gameplay on the Rift.
Exactly, it's going to be very exciting to see. Now, guys, we will be loading into this game very shortly, but while we are loading in, of course, we have to remind everyone, what is at stake? How big is Meta? It is massive right now. The Adelaide Crows and the Bombers, two very large sports organizations, are supporting this. So a lot of prizes to be won as we are loaded into the champion select between St. Monica's College Epping B and the Yarra Valley 2, which is obviously Yarra Valley Grammar's squad. They've obviously rostered multiple teams in for this round, and it'll be very exciting to see what they are going to bring to the table and take away, because Riven, first one taken away, very powerful champion in the right hands.
Yeah, so I really am not surprised. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of more target bans than anything in some of these ban phases. So Riven, if you know your way around the champion, have a couple 100,000 masteries, know how to auto cancel, it can be quite deadly.
Exactly, and it'd be very exciting to see what else gets taken away. The Thresh, very, very powerful playmaking out of the support there, and a Zed as well. Everything we're seeing banned screams to me, if this snowballs against you, you are in a whole world of trouble. So it makes a lot of sense to see them being taken away.
Yeah, I can imagine they've done their research. There's probably been some of these red flags coming up in these picks, so they will be taken away.
Ooh, Graves is the first champion locked in, and that personally is very, very interesting, because he's more than likely going to go to who need help in the jungle, but Graves isn't necessarily the highest tier jungler right now. When I think of jungle, I think to myself of a Rek'Sai is the strongest jungler in 9.4, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think we were having this conversation quite recently, Ewan, and just overnight something like the Rek'Sai's come up. But honestly, the Graves is still very dominant at what he does. He's a very good power farmer. And then once you get sort of that first item power spike, in the terms of that warrior enchant, you just appear on the Rift and you blow people up with that shotgun of a blast.
Exactly. So apparently the Graves was not meant to be locked in. We are aware that these teams actually have gone through pick and ban already, if I'm not mistaken. So they do know what they're banning, someone they're picking. So hopefully we'll be getting back into the game shortly. But guys, while we do have a little bit of a break, I would like to just go over the structure of Meta, how it's going to be working, and of course the prizing that comes as a result of it. So guys, unlike last year, and I'm very happy to say meta has improved. Last year, there was a single bracket. Everyone went into it. Now, I saw teams, because I casted meta last year, who were very new to League of Legends, champions, people who didn't have account levels above 30, going against people who were half decently ranked. So naturally, the games were a little bit on the one-sided side. So there is now an open bracket and the beginner bracket. Now the beginner bracket is blind pick, as well as the fact that your account has to be below silver if you wish to qualify in this area. So basically, if you're newer to League of Legends or not as strong as other players, it's where you can go to still be able to play and not have a very unfair game. But the open bracket, which is the one we are casting, are more experienced players. The only restriction is your account has to be level 30, which most players have hit at some point.
Yeah, of course. So tell me a little bit about the pricing for said brackets.
Oh, so the pricing for the open bracket is, in my personal opinion, the most exciting. Because not only is the RP pricing ridiculous for the teams, but the biggest thing for if you come into the top 4 is, of course, the grand final at a live event. Now, last year, it was at Rod Laver Arena on the same day as the OPL second split grand finals. It was casted about an hour before the OPL went live. It was an amazing event, and I had an absolute blast as a spectator. Two of my good mates were actually casting that game, so it was great fun. So there is, of course, 13,500 RP to be split among the team for first place, as well as the fact that they will get to go against, you know, the New South Wales, the Western Australian first place teams in to compete who is the best one in the whole of Australia, which will be very exciting.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think the best prize of all are the bragging rights that you get to win.
I mean, I was casting with Pronome, who won the Victorian grand final last year, and it was the first thing he brought up when I met him. I'm like, oh, you look familiar. He's like, yeah, I won HCSL last year, back when it was called HSEL. So very funny there, as unfortunately we do appear to have another technical issue with the lobby, guys. So we do apologize about that, but the biggest thing, like I said, I would have loved this to be around when I was in high school, because I would have just killed for this opportunity.
Yeah, no, honestly, I really like the fact that Riot is personally going out of their way to ensure that there are programs like this for young people who are looking at potential opportunities in their future to kind of find a group to play with and get excited about something and practice towards a common goal. It's great, and what better way than doing it with a video game that you play pretty much every day anyway?
Exactly, and this is going to sound like preaching to the choir, I'm certain. I love the fact that now we're getting, like, you know, back when I was in high school, the only really acceptable thing was sport. Like, you had to play basketball, you had to play, you know, whatever. And now it's, we're actually embracing esports. We're actually embracing, you know, the people who don't want to be running up and down, you know, a court, or, you know, sprinting across grass in crappy, what do you call it? What do you call it in this country? Soccer? You call it soccer in this country.
Yeah.
It's meant to be football, but you guys call it soccer.
Yeah,
Still, I've been in this country for over half my life, and that has still always annoyed me.
Well, football is pretty much when you run around after each other chasing a pigskin. Like, instead of kicking a ball around instead.
I mean,
you
both
can
are
actually
kicking around balls.
You can touch the ball with your hands. That's the big difference.
I mean, if anyone does know about football, not soccer, football, the hand of God shot. That's all I'm going to say for that one. But hopefully this will be the last Champion Select that we get kicked out of, and the bans are still the same. And like we said earlier, it's just really powerful picks. Again, is there a single chance? Outside of maybe Thresh, but if you get ahead as a Thresh, the playmaking is utterly insane.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, we've been seeing him become a lot more priority in the current meta, with 80 changes coming through in 9.3. Crit is now a viable option again, so kill threat supports like the Thresh become far better than they already were. And, like, honestly, he's received no direct buffs, but he's just great.
Talking about crit, Ezreal is the first lock-in instead, so not one of these crit 80 carries, which I find a little surprising, but he is ridiculously safe, in my opinion. As we're powering through this, the Darius coming out of Gaming Nick. Yeah, I've got a love-hate relationship with this pick for a very good reason.
Now, I love Darius. At least watching him, I hate playing against him, right? I don't know anyone who enjoys that, but he's very dominant in just about every matchup, I'd say, except for something like a Yorick, because Yorick is so dominant in the current meta. So, honestly, if we are speaking about what I would like to see, That's nice. Of course, the Garen has been locked in, which is still a pretty good pick into the matchup. Somewhat.
It could be worse, but the issue is, and it's the issue whenever you play something tanky, which Garen should be building,
Yeah.
versus a Darius, is it's the timer. Where when you get 6 stacks of hemorrhage, you're going to get that execute. That true damage is coming out, but we'll have to see, how that matchup goes, because Garen, with that passive, should be able to survive.
Exactly, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to liken it to the Aatrox Urgot matchup. It's not so much about winning the lane, but more about surviving it, and then just outscaling eventually in those team fights. Having that true damage execute.
Exactly, but focusing a bit more on lane other than topside, Lulu locked in is super interesting to me, because that screams hyper carry bot lane. Because you don't pick Lulu, in my opinion, unless you are pairing it up with something that's going to scale fantastically. And you're now running into an Ezreal Braum, so what do you think that totally Asian might lock in? Again, he's paired up with a Lulu, he's got a Nunu as well. What are we thinking here?
Well, there's so much utility on his side, so I'd be expecting a hyper carry like the Ashe that we're seeing come through. Honestly, she hasn't been the most staple pick in the current meta, but definitely fits the profile with a shielding support like the Lulu is, allowing her to just constantly throw out those shards of true ice with her bow, raining down on her enemy. I think it can work quite well.
Exactly, so I'll see how that bot lane goes, guys, as we do see every champion locked in. Now, we're not in pick order because not everyone has every champion, but we can take a pretty good guess. It's going to be Garen and Darius going head-to-head in the top lane. In the jungle, Kayn will run into Nunu and Willem. A bit unfair with 2v1, but I suppose you could say Kayn is 3 people. Two. It's Kayn and Ras.
It's Kayn and Ras. So
Kayn
it's
and
2v2.
Ras versus Nunu and Willem
Yeah.
in the jungle. The mid lane, Prote's personal favorite, Galio, going head-to-head against a Xerath, which will be a very fun matchup to watch, see if Galio can engage. On the bot side, Ezreal and Braum will be going head-to-head against the Ashe and the Lulu. Now, Toasted, any of these matchups, other than the Darius, as we've already mentioned, draw any red flags for you?
Well, I wouldn't so much say red flag as I'd say difference in playstyle. So, for example, in the mid lane with this Galio versus Xerath matchup, Galio is sort of notorious for being good against these ability power sort of mages, but when it's someone like a Xerath who has such disgusting range and such low cooldowns, not to mention his passive gives him mana, if you didn't know.
I must say, everyone's like, all these champions need to get updated. You need that mana set. I play a lot of Xerath because I'm horrible at mid lane, and it is so useful. And as you mentioned, the range disparity between a Xerath and a Galio. Like, yes, Galio has a gap closer. He has that Justice Punch. He has the Shield of Duran to try pull them in. But if you don't connect it, suddenly Xerath's like, okay, now I put distance between me and you. And guess what? I am the literal definition of mobile artillery.
Exactly. And look, honestly, Galio is an Aftershock champion in the mid lane. Historically, I know you can take other things.
You can take anything on
I
anyone.
hope we will be seeing that Aftershock. I'll be very concerned if we aren't. But he's not really going to have kill threat on Xerath at any point, because let's say, just for the sake of the argument, he does go in on Xerath. Xerath can say, okay, cool, you've dealt like half my health bar. I'm just going to stun you and then constantly run you down.
Exactly, and of course, that'll be very interesting to see in the mid lane. I'm hoping that, or expecting, that Zeta's Xerath should be able to beat up Troublemaker's Galio, but you've always got to factor in junglers, and when you look at the likes of a Kayn, Kayn is, in my opinion, one of the more mobile junglers. You can akin him to something like a Rek'Sai right now, with the fact that his Q, you just dash over every single wall, and then you've got your E, like, okay, cool, now terrain doesn't exist. Like, there's no way you can't go with this champion.
No, Kayn is really good in the current meta, which is because jungle XP was kind of nerfed a bit. It's more of the low economy junglers that are beefy boys naturally and can just have a lot of utility, like the Nunu or the Sejuani, other things like that, which, it's a great pickup. Or the champions that can just power farm and then just gank like there's no tomorrow. Kayn fits that profile really well, and with his changes, I think it's a great pickup.
Exactly, and I mean, you've said it to me a few times. You say it's the meta of gank first, ask questions later. And when you look at a Kayn, he's got so many ways in to help those ganks out. And talking about those ganks, I want to look at the bottom lane for a little bit, because Ezreal Braum has a ton of crowd control to bring to the table. I mean, Braun himself is the walking definition of the manliest crowd control you can bring. And Ashe Sorry, not Ashe. Sorry, the Ezreal, a lot of harassment. You can poke them low and then set up the engage. But against the likes of an Ashe Lulu, who have quite a bit of poke themselves, are they going to be able to get the Ashe Lulu low enough for Kayn to be like, okay, I can come in and help?
And that's it, because Ezreal is sort of known for that obnoxious champion in lane. He's got Klepto. He's constantly going to be throwing out those mystic shots to just be like, all right, well, I'm going to deal a bit of damage and get a bunch of gold off you, right? Great, that's awesome. But when Ashe has a volley that she's just going to say, well, I can do the same thing, sure. But I don't get a Klepto stack, but it deals more damage, and it's also, it hits multiple targets.
Exactly. Wave clear, a little bit of everything to the table on that bottom side.
And put a Lulu on top of that, someone who can shield her so she takes negative damage, and also polymorph the Braum so that any potential engage is taken away. I honestly think that the bottom side for Yarra Valley Grammar has the upper hand.
Indeed, but we'll have to find out, as we are, of course, seeing the keystones being selected, and there's no keystone here that I find surprising. Like, there's a Comet on the Xerath, there's the Aftershock on the Galio, as we were talking about, and the Klepto on the Ezreal. But the thing that I love to see, Darius has gone for the Ghost rather than the Teleport, and Conqueror to boot.
Yeah, so this is...
oh my lordy, it's
this is
200k mastery.
Yeah, so...
That's a lot of Duncan.
If you haven't played League of Legends recently, Conqueror got a bit of a change, and now it gives you what's considered like the old fervor of battle, but it stacks up, and once you reach max stats, it converts a bit of it into true damage and also gives you a heal, which is great for Darius when you have inbuilt sustain on top of that, and true damage is pretty damn awesome when you have an execute.
Oh yeah.
He's running Ghost as well, so his reliability to proc that Conqueror is going to be very generous, I would say. So the rundown potential in this top lane, if Oxymoron ever finds himself pushed up, is going to be a little bit worrying for the side of St. Monica's, and we'll have to see if Chaos Burger, as a result, decides to path topside a bit and try and shut down this monster of a Darius.
Exactly. I mean, I would be expecting that Darius, if he does snowball, I mean, we've all played in a game where Darius has just, like, gotten a double kill early from a botched jungle gank, and it's a disgusting thing to witness if you're against the Darius, and it is the most beautiful thing to witness if you are allied with the Darius. So we'll have to see how that does go, because that's why I was going to ask, where would we expect these jungles to go? Because, Tosa, we've casted a lot together, and if there's one thing in Season 9 that I think we've identified, it's that the tempo in the early game is typically set around the jungler, their jungle pathing, and which lanes they decide to give a little bit of early love to.
Honestly, I think on the side of St. Monica's, there is no wrong lane to send your jungler to. Because, for one, you have this Braum Ezreal with great engage, who are kind of in the back foot in this matchup, so it's likely they're going to be pushed in a lot, meaning that Kayn has a great potential to gank it, especially when Kayn, along with champions like the Zac, has very unique paths that he can take into a lane to find himself a gank. I think that you definitely path topside first and look for an early gank to help your Garen out, because this is a pretty mean matchup. Once again, we were saying it's not so much about winning it for the Garen as it is for the surviving it. However, he is going to need some help, or the hemorrhage stacks will find him 6 feet deep.
Exactly, so hoping to avoid that in the top side of the map. We'll see where they do Electrico, because right now the junglers are simply hanging out on the bottom side of the map, and actually Nunu is appearing to make an early presence on the bottom side. This is kind of what we expect out of this champion. The giant snowball is rolling in, and the flash is burnt. That is such a huge cooldown being forced out of who need help.
Yeah, no, that is actually massive for Yarra Valley, because it means that there is a 5-minute window in which Gaming Nick can now just abuse that fact, as we see a bit of a trade going in the mid.
Troublemaker drops the Ignite onto Zeta. The Winds of War, is not available just yet, but we talked about the fact that Zeta should be fine in this mid lane. The issue is that if Galio does get on top of him and fires a full spell rotation, 5 HP, you cannot tell me that is calculated, as it looks like the Nunu has decided to visit the lane, but nothing able to really force of it there. But I like the Nunu coming in to apply a little bit of pressure onto the Galio.
Yeah, he definitely needs to alleviate that right there, considering there is total dominance of this mid lane for Troublemaker right now, as Chaos is looking for a potential appearance in the top side, but Gaming Nick is right nearby.
Exactly, and this jungler proximity, we'll see. Yeah, there we go. About to say, he's trying to steal that scuttle away, but Chaos Burger trying to get some more stacks out. He really wants to get that transformation as early as possible. Every Kane does, but I don't know if this is the transformation fight he is really aiming for, as Darius has arrived. The Ghost is popped, the Flash Apprehend, and First Blood coming out for the Dunk Master himself.
And that's actually really big for Yarra Valley. As we're saying, top lane, I'm sounding like a broken record already, but it's about surviving this Darius lane if you are the Garen, and when he's got a First Blood under his belt, a free 400 gold pickup, you have to start thinking, damn, like, how far back am I going to have to play? Because there comes a point when versing a Darius that your tower is not a beacon of safety.
No, and it's a Darius who has double buffs and has Ghost, and now I'm hoping that Lopez, I'm just going to call him Lopez because that's a very long name, will be going for the Trinity Force over the Black Cleaver, because with that Conqueror, you don't really need it, and, well, we've all seen a Darius get ahead, and it is obnoxious. Like, look at this. That's 2 auto attacks, 3 autos attack, the Decimate, the Hemorrhage is applied, a couple more hits, the Apprehend says, no, you don't run away till I let you, and the Bleed, is it going to be enough? One more tick, he does take him down. Darius 2-0. Not even 5 minutes into the game.
And that's the power of Flash. That's the power of Darius. Oxymoron even blows the Flash in this engage. So, an even bigger window for Lopez to abuse. He's 2-0 already at 4 minutes into this game.
And this is what you expect out of Darius's nowadays, especially when you pick a matchup who can't kite him.
Yeah, and if you have a look at the CS difference between the two,
I don't want to look at the CS difference.
Yeah, Lopez is over double his opposing number at this point. Of course, the wave is crashing on Oxymoron. He does teleport back to the lane, but this is pretty dire for the top laner of St. Monica's.
Exactly, but the issue is it's not just the top lane that's struggling in terms of CS. The bottom lane, Ashe had herself nearly a 15 CS lead. It has chalked itself down a little bit closer to 10, but you talked about the fact that Ezreal wants to try to get that harassment onto the Ashe. Ashe is sitting at full HP and is just like, okay, this is fine because you're not getting the damage down, and when you will, Total has my back. He will look after me, and right now I feel like you need to stop Lopez from getting any stronger, but if you gank with an untransformed Kayn, is that going to be the solution, or is that just begging for more trouble?
No, I think you sack the top lane at this point. You say, okay, well, that lane is kind of lost already. Just leave the Garen to get what he can get while you focus your bottom lane, because
Troublemaker flash shield on Duran. The Ignite is down, but the Aftershock picks it up. Lulu a little bit too far forward, will be forced to burn the flash to get her way out of them, with the Nunu trying to run forwards. Gets multiple men down with the CC, but there is no real follow-up. This Ashe, this hyper carry, needs to get some items under her belt, as that Troublemaker, 40 HP, you didn't deserve to get out of that one, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, the tower shots, it was 100% calculated, my dude. Do not question this legend of a man.
I will question every legend of a man until the day I die, I'm afraid, Toasted. But so far, we'll take a look down the lanes at the items, as the bot lanes are still whacking away at each other, so we'll see what they do end up recalling with, because Ashe will probably go for the Blade of the Ruin King. The question is, for the game like this one, is the Ezreal, who need help, going to go for the double tier super late game?
I think that you actually need to make a move earlier on. You need to get something done when it comes to that mid game. You need to be online at 2 items, because Ashe goes massive.
Ooh, Troublemaker got a level advantage over Zeta, and that's a lot of damage coming from a Galio who, his only form of damage, is a Doran's Ring, because the Catalyst doesn't actually give you damage. It gives you health, it gives you mana, but there's no damage on top of that, and Zeta's like, this lane is not what I was hoping it would be.
Yeah,
He's
no,
not having fun.
Zeta is finding himself caught by that gargoyle like quite a bit in this lane, and it's really punishing for that Xerath.
Exactly, I mean, he's only 5 CS down, but the fact that he has very little pressure in lane right now is a little bit concerning, because in my experience playing Xerath, you want to get ahead from the laning phase, you get ahead from your harassment, and then you can start roaming around the map a little bit with your ultimate and start firing pot shots off. But if you're barely able to keep the wave clear, Galio's global impact is a hell of a lot more impactful than the Xerath. Oh, actually, level 6 to level 5. The flash forwards coming out of Nick here. A little bit confusing as Chaos is like, wait a second, what are you doing in my jungle, friend?
Nick has the rotate. I think Chaos could be in a bit of bother here.
Is able to jump out. And the hero's entrance being used very early. And I don't think that needed to be cast there, but I kind of like that you're willing to burn an ultimate to keep your teammates safe. It shows that, okay, if this happens, I'm willing to burn my ultimate, even if it's not for an aggressive mana. But a 3v3, a lovely double shield of Duran as Chaos going for Zeta. Zeta has no mana, needs to be careful. The absolute zero is not able to do it as Demacio rains justice down upon the Nunu. And okay, one more hit. The dunk coming out. The right of the arcane coming out as well will not be enough, however, for the follow-up. A 2-for-1 trade in favor of St. Monica College.
Honestly, I was a little nervous for St. Monica's College right there because one more auto, I think, from that Darius, and he gets the execute off.
Yes.
And so it's actually really good that they do shut him down. They get that gold, of course. I think it was about 550 bounty. So that's pretty great. Onto that Garen.
It's a saving grace considering the fact that Garen is down in CS. The Black Cleaver has been completed from Lopaz, which I'm not entirely sold on. I would have preferred a Trinity Force because you get that true damage from Conqueror, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one playing the game, so I suppose Lopez knows best.
Yeah, I mean, the reason you are a caster is because you're not good enough to be a player. We all know this.
I play like 2 champions, so don't make fun of me on Stream Toasted, please. But a look down the items right now as everyone has recalled at some point. Xerath sitting on that lost chapter, which is really important. That will help him keep the wave clear. But who need help? Picked up that first tier, but interestingly, has a Glacial Shroud instead of trying to build that Sheen. Which,
yeah. I mean, I guess, like, Blue Ezreal is by no means a horrible build, and this tells us he is going for that late game Ezreal, the double tier kind of style that we do see over the likes of sort of that Trinity Force into the Blade of the Ruin King. But it means that come 2 items, when Ashe comes fully online, she gets the Blade of the Ruin King and the Runins, and then she says, alright guys, it's time to fight. She has a Lulu to buff her and a Nunu to play the role that Nunu does in just saying, well, tower dive, I'm going to support you.
Exactly, you always got to remember to hit him with the Nunu special.
Yeah, I mean, but then when you're playing in Ezreal, you've got an Iceborne Gauntlet and a tier stacking up. It's not exactly nearly as impactful at that 20-25 minute mark. So we'll have to see how the rest of the squad on
Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming out on the bottom side. They are trying to force it, but I don't know if they can. The Glacial Fissure is a lovely form of disengage. The True Shot Barrage coming out as well. The CC Chain coming out. The Flash for Flash. One more who would do it, but no! He can't land it, and now the Kayn is arriving. The Ashe is in so much trouble. The Flash is more than enough to get Chaos in range. He will pick up his first kill of the game. Meanwhile, on the top side, looks like the Garen is already dead, and Troublemaker may be joining his top laner. No, forced to flash over the wall. I like this now. He's trying to focus the bottom side. Chaos realizes, as you said earlier, Tozo, the top lane, you just have to hope Garen survives because you can't afford to commit resources to a losing matchup.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, on top of this, considering the way the lane has gone and the rest of his team comp, I think that you want to go for Blue Kayn in this circumstance. So it means that ganking a Ashe and a Lulu is pretty good for that because it gives you those blue souls, which you so desperately want in that case.
Exactly, but that's something we haven't really discussed and something I think we can now. We've got a little bit of time to burn. What version of Kayn are we going to be seeing? Is it Rust going to be more ideal here, or Shadow Assassin, simply to look at La Flamingo and think to yourself, this Ashe is not allowed to have a good time? But we might have to answer that in a little bit as Nunu is arriving on the bottom side of the map. They are trying to cut this out, but he has no flash, he has no dash, he has no life. Gaming Nick picks up his first of the game.
And he's just caught out by himself in the middle of the lane in that case. And once again, Nunu playing the bouncer essentially will just be like, well, have a snowball, have some more smaller snowballs. I'm going to constantly lock you up while my hyper carry just destroys your health bar.
Oh, Zeta, that was a very cheeky stopwatch, and maybe not the one you want to be using on the Ignite is dropped, but looks like the rest of the team have arrived. The Xerath is trying to run away with Troublemaker, not allowing it. A couple more hits will pick up the kill on the Xerath. No, the Winds of War will do just that. Now the Hero's Entrance used to try and buy a little bit of time, but the Ignite down the shielded run. No, the Guardian is procced and might keep him alive, but the Flamingo has arrived from the backline with an absolute zero. They are going nowhere. Nick picking up his second of the game. Macedo is trying to run for his life, but unfortunately, with Ashe hunting him down, with all the CC they have, it's not going to be enough. The Glacial Fissure, tried to turn around onto Nick, but unfortunately, as a support, you do no damage.
And that is the very base of the problem right there. That was honestly quite a nice absolute zero there. Just absolutely deletes the health bar of, I believe it was Troublemaker.
Indeed, and Chaos Burger didn't last long in that either, but wait, Ash is at Dragon and Nunu has just recalled. There may be a little bit of miscommunication here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that one. She was just taking Scuttle, however, backs off and goes for the reset. We'll pick up the Blade of the Ruin King, so that's a really big power spike for the Ash when your counterpart's just sitting on a bunch of components at this point.
Exactly, and now if Ash was already terrifying before, she has amped up the game as they are starting themselves on the second dragon of the game. They do have a mountain in their back pocket, but Chaos is looking to steal it, but the issue is I don't think he's going to be able to. It is so difficult to steal from a Nunu, but it's very easy to do it when the Nunu is potentially dead. They are chasing them off the dragon, and now because they lack the numbers, the dragon will be picked up at one piece for one as Zeta trying to be a little bit cheeky with that stun, and actually they might go for an engage here. Ash has arrived from the side, the Megalio, a lovely wall to lock them out. Can he get the deletion? He gets onto the Lulu and takes her out. The Ash trying to do what she can as the Nunu is forced to flee. The Zeref trying to get what damage he can, but the issue is that there's only so much poke you can do with a lost chapter. You don't have a ton of damage to back it up as Flamingo diving forwards, but that's a very questionable one. Is Nick actually able to survive thanks to that chomp? I cannot believe Yarra Valley 2, like, the only person to die was Lulu at the start of the fight.
Yeah, that was the Winds of War. Let Flamingo.
What is this? Trying to take the dive, but the Braum shield stops all the damage. Stand behind this man, but I don't think it will save him as the absolute zero is proc, and he will pick himself up one. Throwing snowballs for a second. This Nunu is finally on fire for 1 and 5.
Yeah, he is a very tanky boy, or tanky boys, my apologies, right now. But the consolation, at least, is that Lopez gets some free time with that tower up in the top lane because things ain't going so great for Oxy.
Exactly, and struggling in that top side of the map. And if we're looking at the terms of CS, we can see it just there, 69 CS to 127. Like, Darius has, I would assume, over 12,000 gold above his opposite number right now, and 1,200, sorry, yeah, 1,200 gold. So yeah, just over about 2,000 gold, sorry, over his opposite number right now. And what do we talk about when Darius gets ahead?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the dunk.
Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, the Penta dunk is definitely a possibility. If you notice, there is about a 2,500 gold lead, and 2,000 of that sitting on the Darius is a little bit problematic for the side of St. Monica's, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with this one.
Exactly, and games like this, oh, actually, there might be a bit of a fight in the top lane, level 10 to level 11. The Hemorrhage has applied, but I don't think when he wants to dive just yet. They don't have Vision of Kayn, so he needs to be a little bit careful because, yes, Darius is insanely powerful right now, but if Kayn rocks up, he can definitely ruin the party.
Yeah, he can. I believe he's still in basic Kayn right now, but he should be getting that upgraded form soon, and when he does, he will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. The respect that will have to go with that.
Oh no, he's Rast.
He's Rast. Well, he's definitely at that point now because you get a lot of healing in that kit.
Well, we'll see how that goes as this will be a 2v2 fight based around the Rift Herald. The question is who is able to secure it. Again, it's hard to beat a Nunu in a straight up fight. I couldn't actually see who secured that. Yeah, so it was picked up by the side of Yarra Valley as they are now committing to fight. The Heroes Engine's coming in, but will it be enough is the real question. Garen spinning to win, but is it going to be enough as the shutdown actually going onto the Darius? That is a huge issue. They're losing all their members right now, forced to flash over the wall, and that is a disaster to lose that fight. You should have had control over the top side, but the Darius wasn't able to get any damage down.
Honestly, it was a great play right there, but I think there you send all three members after the fight mid lane. Right then and there, and you take the tower. Because the fact that all three of them have gone somewhere else, Nunu coming in actually onto Oxymoron.
Doesn't connect with the snowball and needs to get away out of that one. A lot of damage can come out of this Garen with that completed Black Cleaver, but a attempted fight on the bottom side, but Braum, the fact that he's eating every single one of these Enchanted Crystal Arrows is actually really, really good for the side of St. Monica because that's his job. His job is to be in the front line. If he gets hit by that Ashe ulti, it's fine. He's relatively tanky, and he should be able to survive. And if you do blow up the Braum, the Ezreal, one of your huge damage threats, is still alive.
Yeah. I have one really big concern for the side of Yarra Valley, and that is the fact that at 17 minutes, almost 18, the Xerath is still sitting on components, not a completed Luden's Echo yet, which means that that scaling, which we love to see out of a Xerath, is going to be very, very stunted at this point in time, especially when compared to a Galio, who not only has a stacking Rod of Ages, but is now working towards that Zhonya's.
Exactly, and part of that is the fact that Xerath is 0 and 3, and the fact that he's really struggling in terms of the CS department. He's using his abilities to try and harass rather than to try and, push the wave and farm, and that's what's causing the issues right now. Is Rift Herald has been dropped on the bottom side of the map, and Darius is hard pushing the top. There's teleport coming out of the Garen. This is going to be a full committal to the bot side of the map. I feel like for both teams, except the fact that... Wait. The Galio is only now rotating down. The Galio's going to be late to this fight. Darius has no way to join, of course, lacking a teleport. The Wild Growth uses it as the absolute zero as well to try and buy a little bit of zoning. And there we go. Oxymoron finally shot down. Xerath picking himself up a kill. There is just so much harassment. No one is properly committing to the fight. It's a lot of damage being traded back and forth. The Galio has finally gotten access to the backline. They will crush down the Nunu. But while all this is happening, the Darius is pushing the top side of the map. He's taking down another turret, and they need to do something. Darius will take an inhibitor if they don't do anything.
Yeah, no, they have to recall right now. If I'm on the side of Yarra Valley, I'm stopping recalls this instant. Unfortunately, La Flamingo is out of mana, but that's the base open right there.
They've left him. No one's recalled. They've sent the Galio back, but Galio shouldn't be able to win this fight. The Garen has finally respawned, so it's now 2 members on the top side of the map. But the fact that they lost so much in the map, they lost all the top side of the map. They nearly lost their top lane turret, and I feel like this is a horrible chase troublemaker. You're fantastic into ability power champions, but into the likes of a Darius, I do not see a way you win this matchup. He looks like he is trying to get a bit of CC, but that Starix Gauge is going to be huge to buy time, and a couple more hits will get the dunk. No, the execute is not there, and the return execute. The flash apprehend. Lopez trying to be a little bit more on the ambitious side. He gets a shutdown! No way, he can turn around, he gets a double kill! They over-chase into a Darius! You don't chase the Singe, you don't try Hunter Teemo, and you do not take prolonged trains into a Darius!
And this is the classic 2v1 that you see.
Chaos tried to steal away the dragon, and he pays for it with his life as well. This is all going in favor of Yarra Valley right now. 10 kills in the favor of their opponents, but they've got 16 kills and 4,000 gold.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it looks pretty dire, but it's not over for St. Monica's college, my apologies. Yes, they have got the scaling out of the Ezreal on their side. They have the utility out of the Galio, and if the Rast is able to get a couple kills and items under his belt, that will be perfectly fine as well. So they still have really great teamfight potential to just win these fights. If they can find a pick onto maybe they all just rush after the Darius, but you have to approach that
Arrow landing onto the edge of the full commitment from the team. The new arriving from the backside, a party on the bottom side. 4 members of Yarra Valley got the invitation. Only St. Monica didn't get all the RSVPs. Only 2 people were at the event.
Yep. I mean, it's better than them all going down in that one. Unfortunately, they're not all exclusive enough to attend that
particular event, and they will grab themselves their 4th turret of the game. And I see no reason why they can't just fully push this lane down, because Garen has no teleport, Darius is pushing on the top side, and they have to deal with him. Looks like Galio is trying to get to a flank. Can they cut this out? A lovely stun, a polymorph as well. The Absolute Zero simply buying a ton of time. That is 2 kills going in favor of Yarra Valley, and this could potentially be this is where Yarra Valley take control of the game with absolute force.
And honestly, I don't think that they can contest that. Garen's tied up in the top side. There's only 2 right there. I think if you want, you can potentially try and pressure that inhibitor tower.
Exactly, the bottom side looks like they are splitting up a little bit. They are moving around the jungle. It's actually Oxymoron. 1 more hit will do it. The Dunk Master does just that. Takes himself a kill. Will be taking himself an inhibitor. They need to be so careful here. If Darius gets an apprehend, if he gets a decimate in, there is every chance if he gets on top of the Ezreal is going to die. But with Kane arriving as well, a 1 versus 3, I don't see a way he can get out of this one. Undual Trespass, even the Galio are arriving, the shutdown going over to the Kane.
Maybe a bit of an overstay. Like, I think you just grab the tower and leave right there. But
he's feeling confident, and can you blame him? 7-3-0. He's sitting at 3 fully completed items. no one is sitting close to that. The closest is almost the Ash sitting on 2 fully completed items.
Yeah, and honestly, this is really problematic for St. Monica's because if you hadn't noticed, their main sources of damage are all attack damage based, at least for now, until that Ezreal can get that second tier. If he opts in for it, he is looking to be going for that Blade of the Ruin King first, though.
It's a viable option. Of course, he could simply be waiting for his current tier item to stack before building the second one, because as we know, you can't double stack the tiers at the same time. I've learned that firsthand, been yelled at it for it as well. That was a rough time. But, so he's more than likely going to be leading towards the Built Water Cutlass, and then if he could go for the Blade of the Ruin King, or he'll get his tier, and then, well, he turns into a fun little Gunblade. As Baron's setup is now starting, and I don't know what this side of St. Monica College can actually do to contest Vision here. Like, if they get in a fight, surely they lose.
Yeah, no, I think you have to just, and we don't exactly use this term a lot, but I think you have to turtle. You have to turtle in this instance. You have to hold it out, just let them have what they want, and just farm the waves.
The issue with that is the fact that their wave play isn't fantastic, but we might come to that in a little bit, as Darius is actually throwing himself into the front line where he can absolutely zero, as well as the rest of the team has arrived. The Kane is the first to fall to Galio, trying to buy time, but it's not going to be another double kill coming out for the Zeref, as the Dunk Master has gotten access to the back line, and the Galio can only do so much, but the team champion is not able to do anything when his entire team has been slaughtered in front of him.
Yeah, no, he just has to back off at this point, and that's a free Baron there. Should be just a Baron reset, maybe go grab the dragon if it is that oh so prized Infernal, but I think that you just close this out with a nice 1-4 composition, or even a 1-3-1 is viable in this option for the side of Yarra Valley.
I think Yarra Valley should just go for this 1-4. There is no one who can stop the Darius one-on-one, and realistically, if you commit multiple men to the Darius, then the rest of the team just ends the game for you. So Yarra Valley should feel confident, even if they lack that teleport, to simply 1-4 split push the game and then go for the end, because they're now sitting over 10,000 gold ahead of their opposite number. And let me tell you, Toasted, I've only seen a few games, and I've been playing this game since Season 1, where a team has come back from a 10,000 gold lead. Now, one of them was SKT T1K. Now, oddly enough, 3-time world champion probably can come back from a 10,000k. What does St. Monica's College have to do? Like, do they have to simply do a death brush? Like, what is their options to get back into this game?
They need to play for picks. They need to somehow miraculously get the pick onto La Flamingo, or just somehow win out in that Darius skirmish. Like, as I was saying, I think at this point, you have to go for the desperation play. If you need to, send all 5 after the Darius to shut him down and then look for something. You need to make something happen. Otherwise, they're just going to take your base from you while you watch from the sidelines.
Exactly. Hard commit onto something. Make a exclusive decision saying, okay, this is the call, everyone pile on. Now, that's something I see in a lot of tournaments. People just like, when they're behind, they hesitate to make the decision because you make 1 or 2 really bad decisions when you're behind. The game is over, but you need to pull the trigger. There is nothing worse than going out with a whimper. You might as well try and go out with a bang. So I would love to see a commit to this top side of the map right now. As Darius, he's walking into the 1 versus 3, but the rest of the team is on the backside, so they may be arriving in time. Darius' Stereox Gauge is popped. They are fully committing to the champion. As you talked about, Toasted, they may even be able to take him down. He tries to flash the fight down the Decimate to heal up, but it's not going to be enough. He finally falls, but the rest of the team has arrived to avenge their dead top laner. The question is, how much can they grab from it? They do get at least 2 of the kills. Now, they're trying to chase up the stun. Does not connect to the Zeref after that flash, but they will grab themselves at least 1 inhibitor, but they have at least 2 in their eyes once again.
Yeah, no, that will be the second one. Easily taken out. And honestly, I think that you just walk in with the minions and
talk about walking in. Oh, they catch the Galio out of position. They crush him down. The Kane trying to do what he can, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough as their base under siege. 1 Nexus turret will fall. The second will fall along with it. The Nexus is bare. The jungler is dead once again. And this is going to be Yarra Valley Squad 2 taking the game over St. Monica's College, Epping B.
And honestly, that was quite a convincing win, if I do say so myself. The Lopez on that Darius just comes up massive in the matchup, gets that early first blood, and just steamrolls off of it.
Exactly, and we talked about in Pick and Man, the champions that were taken away were champions that, like Zed, like Aurelia. If these champions snowball, damn do they do well, but we forgot, in my opinion, the most snowbally champion in League of Legends. Darius, they left him up in the top lane. I think he's the most snowballer because I play top lane exclusively.
I thought you were going to say Nunu because
No.
he's all of it. Like, Nunu has the biggest snowball ever and throws up to 9 snowballs with a single cast of his E.
True, but in this case, it was the Darius. He took control of the top lane of the map, guys. But that is the Victorian Open bracket wrapped up. The very first round of meta concluded, guys. We're hoping for the next round to be just as exciting, but we'll have to see as meta will continue shortly.